This is the Amp Hour Podcast. Released September 9th, 2018. Episode 406. Nerds in a Corner.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
I am nerdly hungover.
Yeah, right? I mean, you spent all that time, you weren't drinking beers, but you were chatting about nerdy stuff all night, so that'll do it.
Yeah, huge turnout at the EEV blog.
Yeah.
It was packed. Standing room
That's great,
only.
man.
Yeah.
All right.
Fantastic.
So, same location as when I was there when we did
No, different. No, it's out near my place now because the electronics show was yesterday and today, so I'm going there again today.
Got it.
Yep,
Okay.
and so it was nearby after that, so that the idea was people go to the show and then mosey on over to the meetup. Yep.
That's great. So how's the show? Well, first off, how's the show, and then I guess how was the meetup?
Well, I didn't see much of the show. I literally went to two stands because, I got there late, right? And one stand talking for an hour or two, and then another stand talking for an hour or two, and then I met up with someone, and we had really cool stuff. So we went outside and shot, video of that.
Oh,
and
great.
Yeah,
okay, so there's going to be video coming of this too.
There is video coming. Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Like as in separate video. I'll do that. It's so interesting that. Yeah.
Was there some of the previews that I saw on Twitter? Is that what this is, or something different?
Possibly, yes. One of them.
Okay.
One of the
right.
preview of one of the things. It has to do with optics and
Very cool.
and the polarization of light and stuff like that. Really, not really electronics related, unless you want to talk about fiber optics, which we did in the video.
Cool. Okay.
But
okay.
yeah, so that'll go up as a main channel video.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that.
Just because it's fascinating.
Yeah, man.
So,
you gotta get that curiosity going, Like
exactly.
That's
so,
regardless.
Which
is
channel's...
also what meetups are great for, Like,
it is
for meeting new people, figuring out new areas to investigate and see what people are doing.
One thing I kept hearing all night is,
Where's
did you
Chris?
hear about what? No, not mentioned once. Although there was the odd Amp Hour T-shirt, but
okay, well, that's
or hoodie.
I'll take that.
Jumper.
I'll take that as a as credit.
As a placid. They were all going, "Oh, did you see what so and so is working on and stuff like that? It's amazing." And I just kept hearing that all night. People are just doing really amazing stuff.
Oh, just
great.
they were all as they were viewing each other's projects.
As they were moving around the room, because everyone bought projects and stuff like that you could look at.
That's great. That's a good sign. That's a good sign.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So, and there were giveaways.
What were some of those? Is this like? Are you saving some of this for the videos, or is this? Were there some projects you might mention
There's some in
here?
the video. Some of it just didn't make it. Like we just didn't bother recording any of it.
What about the nature of the projects? Are they mostly electronics based, or was it kind of mixed?
As I said, the
electromechanical?
one I'm going to do an entire separate 25-minute video or something on is the nature of the polarization of light and how to study that and how to. Well, can I spoil it?
Sure.
I'll try and think of a way not to spoil it. Is that it doesn't matter. Maybe encourage you to watch the video. Is that it's developing a project of how to not only study the polarization of light, but do a pixel mapped polarizing camera. So instead of doing like infrared camera, instead of doing like a thermal camera, you're looking at the polarization of light. So polarize and everything, and I showed an example, and everything looks different. It looks subtly different when you look through the aspect of polarizing. You don't notice that certain wavelengths of light are polarized, and then they reflect off things, so other objects look reflective because this polarized light's coming off, and your eyes don't see any of that. It's so it's like looking on a sort of like a different world because you're
Through the Looking Glass with Dave Jones.
That's it. It's very cool. Anyway, I thought it was fascinating.
Yeah. So what was the percentage of people you'd say brought projects with them to the meetup?
Oh, probably half bought something, I'd say.
Excellent.
Yeah,
All right.
even if it was just a little blank PCB or something like that, you know.
Oh, yeah, of course. Right. Something to get a conversation started.
Yeah, that's right. So, no, it went great. There was like nobody sitting in the corner, like just on their own.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Yep.
Good.
It was great.
Awesome. Well, that's
Nerds
great,
are
man.
kind of social when they've got something in common to talk about. You know, otherwise,
right.
you know, if it was a room full of other people, they'd just be sitting in the corner, you know,
Right.
to themselves, right?
Oh man, when I'm at so I was at a party, I was at a rooftop party a couple months ago now, I guess, because
Right.
summer's almost over here. And, you know, it was a normal crowd, very nice people, but, you know, talking about the usual sports and
Yeah, right.
work
Yeah.
and all these other things. And
Trump.
I started, no,
No? Okay.
and I met this guy who was a professor of history, but he like studied like newspapers throughout history. Oh no, sorry,
Nice.
post offices throughout history. And so we were just
fascinating.
geeking out about post offices,
Yeah,
and
right.
I didn't talk to a damn person after that. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
yeah,
it's just
exactly.
like,
You
you know,
can't-
like
yeah.
it's just you got to find those people. You find the nerds, you get in deep into a subject, and you know, you talk about post offices for literally 3 hours.
Yeah.
So it
That's brilliant.
was awesome.
And you didn't even have any alcohol.
No, of course.
No?
Yeah.
Awesome. It might have been more interesting with alcohol. Who knows?
I don't know.
No?
I guess I haven't really said that on the channel. I've been sober for a year. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. So I'm living the EEV blog life here. I'm you know.
And you've lost a lot of weight.
I have. Yeah, man.
Apparently, you weigh less than me, and you're significantly taller than me.
Yeah, and significantly weaker too. So that helps. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's one thing that's straight. Like, I'm like average height, right? I'm 5'9", right?
Yeah.
Maybe a smidge under if you take my shoes off, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like,
He's very sensitive about his height, folks.
Yeah. like you know, really average height. Not small,
Yes,
but not
I
average.
agree. I agree. Average height. Yes.
Yes, and well, it literally is the average height if you look up the average height of males.
I know,
in
Dave.
Western-
I'm just saying. Oh man.
Anyway, yeah, like half the people at the event were like over 6 foot. I don't know what the deal is.
Were they younger?
Yeah.
So I think so. Usually, height is tied to like nourishment.
Yeah. No, that's what I was
And I
thinking.
think-
I was thinking that.
I think it's just like affluent societies, right? Sydney,
Affluence, exactly.
and Australia in general, affluent societies.
Yep.
You just start eating more, and you grow a lot more. So
Yep.
and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's
And
the first thing that came to my mind is all these young affluent kids, you know. Don't know how good they got it, and they're all 6 foot. That's all. Like, yeah.
Well, yeah, man. You're born just a little too early, just a little too late. You know?
Yep, that's it.
That's how it goes. Yeah.
I didn't eat much
That's
when I was a
great.
kid.
So what? what was how many people overall showed up?
Oh, probably 100, I think.
Oh wow. Okay, that's great. All right. Well,
Yeah, decent
more,
sized meetup. Yeah.
more EEV blog meetups in the future, I'm sure, folks.
Yeah.
More.
I
more
think
in
I'm
the
pretty
future.
sure it's more than last time. Yeah, I'll probably do it every 6 months because it's great. I probably don't want to do it any more frequently than that. I think that,
Yeah.
you know, the novelty would wear off.
I think it's not. Well, I do think it's nice to have it's nice to have enough time to like actually develop something substantial and different. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
The tough thing with monthly meetups, like I have done in the past and have tried to do here,
Oh,
but
monthly,
have
yeah.
fallen flat. It's just like unless you're someone like it's like Bart Dring is this guy here in town who's this like prolific inventor, and he's always got something new. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But,
There's
and
like
so you,
one or
you
two
go to
guys
see what Bart
like
has
that.
done,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But like,
but
you're
that's
not
it.
always,
Everyone else would not have anything.
Right. Yeah, I think
That's
it's good
it.
to have something to look forward, like some reason to show off your projects. That could be
Yep.
a hackerspace meetup, it could be whatever. It's nice to have that kind of like extrinsic motivation, but
Yep.
it can be the 6 month thing could be like building up towards that. So
Right. I couldn't help but think it'd be, I'm not saying a better event, but sort of like showcase projects better if it was more run like the Homebrew Computer Club was back in the days where it's in like a stadium, like it's in like a lecture hall, right? And then you bring along your project and you got like 5 minutes up there to simply say, hey, this is what I've done. Check this out, and if you're interested in it, come and talk to me, kind of thing. So that everyone there gets to know, it gets to see every project, and then afterwards you can go pick and choose who you want to mob,
Right.
Because that's what you're interested in, rather than just randomly, it's like, oh, did you see what somebody brought in? No, because they've been on the other side of the room all night, with the same person, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I can't help but think it'd be better like that, but I don't know. Do you have any experience with those type of events?
Some of the ones we did, so usually it would be like, when I used to run the ones for Supply Frame, it was like we'd have 2 like official speakers, but then it was also like, get up and talk about your thing if you want to at the beginning. And
It was like an open mic kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have like a section in the evening. So if you have like you've done Ignite talks before too.
Yeah.
Right, and I don't know if they had that kind of thing.
No, they didn't have an open mic. It's like you prepared your thing for weeks. It was all pre-approved and.
Oh, okay. So, but they didn't have like a section where it was just at this one time there was.
No.
Okay.
No, I've been to like many of those, and no, they've never had that.
I like that piece because sometimes it gets a little bit like, like more like community announcement type things, but if it is nice if there is like 2 minutes to show off projects and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought, so I don't know. Maybe I have to put it out there to the peeps.
Yeah, and, try it next time. Just plan that if you do the next one, just be like, we're definitely going to do, a little lightning talks at the beginning.
But maybe I should be able to get like a uni lecture hall somewhere. Like half the people there were from a uni yesterday. Like, it was like, so I'm sure we could get like a lecture hall somewhere and, have a thing. Like it doesn't have to be a presentation. Like you just get up there and, maybe.
Here's this thing. Here's this thing I did. Yeah. Here's all the background info. Go to this website. That's how you find it. Right?
Exactly. Whereas if you put pressure on people to have to create a death by PowerPoint presentation or something, not many people are going to do it. But then again, I guess not many people are going to want to get up there in front of 100 people and show off their project.
I think it depends on the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm sure. Anyway,
cool.
I couldn't help but think that was the go.
That's a good. It's good you did another one. So.
Yep.
Well, great. I am living the life fantastique of a consultant, which means
excellent.
I'm very confused and I don't know what to do, and
and you've got no space and you're living in squalor and.
Yeah, it's. I'm looking forward to. We have social events coming up around here as well because, like I mentioned last week around IMTS, there's a couple events here, and I'm looking forward to that for hanging out with people and seeing people. But man, this is a different lifestyle. I was talking to a friend earlier today, and she was like, "Well, isn't this just like other times you've had?" I'm like, "Yeah, this is open-ended kind of work. I've had that before, but it's like." In the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, but you're not getting paid at the end of the month, Chris. You gotta hustle, buddy.
That's it. Yeah, it sucks, doesn't it? You have to actually, you got to continue.
Got to keep doing it. Yeah,
got to keep doing it. It's relentless. If you decide to, not take on a thing for a month, you don't get paid for a month.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, just trying to keep focused on electronics too. I think that's the main thing.
Yep.
So,
beautiful.
Yep. Got a couple product ideas. How's your product going? How's your power supply going?
Oh yeah, we showed it off last night. People playing with it, and it's come along. We're just like we just decided, let's just not use this off the shelf module. We can roll our own cheaper. We don't need to buy 2 of these expensive off the shelf modules. Nah, we can just roll our own. So now we're knee deep in simulation land. And custom transformers, So
like power transformers.
Yeah.
Power modules, rather.
Power modules, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I see. Yeah. Because you're trying to get like different rails and stuff
We're trying to get an isolated from the power input, so.
Well, it gives you lots of content to talk about, I'm sure.
Oh, well,
have you figured out the envelope of that thing?
The envelope, as in the form factor.
Oh, sorry, no, the the how much power, like wattage wise, it's gonna have?
Well, we had, but now that kind of gets reset because we're rolling our own.
Got it.
input converter, which which might either limit or widen, depending on how we do it, the power envelope. So yeah, no, it's going to totally change now.
Got it.
Yep, and it should be cheaper though. It should. First initial estimates are that it should be cheaper than our two power bricks to roll our own. So.
Oh, cheap. Well, yeah.
Cheaper.
So what is the trade-off then?
Well, the trade-off is that it's, you got to order like custom transformers and, there's an extra 20 parts on your bill of material instead of just one,
Got it. So complexity for sure.
It's complex. Plus the R&D and testing and design complexity, whereas a power brick, you just throw it in and it works, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I always wonder about that too, like when it comes to sourcing. Like,
that's the other thing, right?
It seems like the bricks would be easier, but like if they obsolete that, you are just kind of screwed.
That's right. Well, we're actually at this sweet spot of power levels where we only found one power brick on the market that did the job. So we're tied into one manufacturer.
Yep.
We could always go to another manufacturer and say, hey, make us this custom brick that meets this form factor, if the other company went bust. But... it's we were locked in. So now I guess we're still locked in because we need a custom transformer, but at least we can take our design files to any custom transformer manufacturer and get it made. So, yeah. Anyway, we're knee deep in, BH curves and all that sort of crap.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, David too is,
Yeah, but he's like a pig in shit probably, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think he was secretly hoping that I'd give him the okay to design our own converter,
right, Exactly.
Yeah, it was like...
It's like, well, I've made a couple modifications to our agreement. Yeah, it's funny.
I tell you what, we keep getting pestered by. I don't think he's going to mind if we... tell anyone, it's just a thing that happens. Jury duty.
Oh, yeah? Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you guys have that in the US, do you?
We do,
The compulsory jury, you just get called up. Well, they
called
him up.
As soon as I moved, I got one, which I think was like, I was on the grid. And
I haven't had one for 20 years or something.
I had in my 30 plus years, mid 30 years prior to that, yeah.
Right. And it's right, so you just got suddenly called a letter out of nowhere and
Yep.
Anyway, they've been pestering him for this is the fourth time now. They've pestered and the first couple of times they either cancelled it, he was on the verge of going and they cancelled it. And the next one I had to write a letter to say, hey, this is really going to impact my business. Like, he's my only employee. We're in the middle of a bloody Kickstarter. Like, he's the one who handles all this, crap. And, and the fact was, they were going to take him away for 6 weeks.
Oh, okay. So that might be different here.
They actually told us this time, right? They went, you're
Got
at a
it.
6-week jury. Tough titties for you.
Wow.
Right? That's a long time.
Yeah, right.
To take an employee away. So I wrote this letter saying, hey, how it's going to impact my business. And we think that did the trick and they let him off. But sure enough, a month later, called up for another 6-week jury.
Wow.
Yeah. And they actually tell you, because they've got some case lined up and they went, yep, you're going to be 6 weeks. Like,
and here I am thinking that Australia didn't have any crime.
Oh yeah, well, the odd thing happens here,
Yeah, right.
Yep, and jeez, it's like, but that can massively impact a small business.
Totally.
Imagine if you only got 2 or 3 employees, taking away one of those for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And I've got to swallow that. I've got to swallow that cost as a citizen and a businessman, right?
Yeah.
Word,
I mean,
it's I've got to swallow that cost. I've still got to pay his wages for 6 weeks. Is that how it works in the US?
Couldn't tell you, Dave. I don't employ anyone.
Right. Okay.
When I hire someone, I'll let you know.
Right.
I don't think. I think they get paid by the state here, but it's like a very low amount. So.
Right. So, okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't think there's any reimbursement here. The company has to. It's your civic duty.
Yeah.
As a corporation, because I'm a corporation,
Yep. Yeah.
So, sucks.
Well, yeah. Well,
Anyway.
you guys are still mid Kickstarter? Is this still delivering the Kickstarter?
Oh no, we're we're finished, but we're still.
You had said that in the past because you were.
Yes, because the previous time
Got
was
it. Okay.
we were right, knee deep in the Kickstarter. So
Got it.
Yep.
So well, speaking of this new thing, your future Kickstarter, I'm sure, for the supply. So Gareth, who's been on the show, I interviewed him at the at Tour Camp. He was asking about a similar kind of thing, like similar kind of power supply on Twitter, and we were talking about it a little bit.
I saw that, yeah.
Oh, you did see that?
There
okay.
There is this portable one, which is but mains. You know, you plug the mains into it, and it's got a switching converter in there,
Right.
and it, you know, it's like a regular power supply. It's kind of cute. I've kind of, you know, it's okay.
Well, and so that's why I was asking about the envelope of this your power
Yep.
supplies, because like I was just, I've thought about this too. So he was asking about the Analog Discovery 2, which has an onboard power supply, but kind of not really. It goes in 100 millivolt increments, up to 5 volts, and that's good. I mean, it's
And
better
it can
than
only
nothing.
do 100 milliamps or so, can't it?
It's
not a lot.
Maybe 250, but it's not. It's not much at all.
Yeah, no, it's not
definitely
high. It's just
fraction of
designed for powering external amps and circuitry and stuff. It's not,
Right,
you know,
yep,
designed for powering an entire project
Right.
kind of thing.
Right, and so what he was getting at, so he's a big traveler, and and I've kind of moved towards that whole Portalab thing we've talked about in the show before.
Yep.
It's shrunk down, and the Analog Discovery 2 I also use and I like, but it's kind of thinking about the same thing. So I was going to ask you about like what if you had heard about other things other than the stuff we talked about on Twitter, or if that's kind of even the market that you're targeting with your product.
Well, we're looking at 5 to 10 watts, something like that.
Okay.
So it's kind of. It doesn't even get up to
not
medium
nothing,
power,
though,
I guess,
but
but it's
no,
not.
that's fine.
It's not. It's decent, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's what's that? That's the power envelope. So the current depends on the output voltage you're giving, but
right.
yeah.
And how high of a voltage though are you targeting?
12, 13 volts.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
So perfect.
So it's not,
I mean,
yeah.
You're not
And
going
then
to
of
go up
course
to
you can
50
get
volts,
if
but
you
at the
need a
same time,
negative supply, you put a second one on, and she'll, and
that makes sense.
because the
Cool.
outputs are isolated, so you can join them, you stack them together, you could parallel them, you can
Yep.
series them to get a positive negative, all that sort of jazz. So yeah, we had to limit it somewhere. Like we could have gone, said, oh, let's have a 0 to 30 volt supply, but
Of course,
like,
no. This is
that's-
product design at its
Yeah,
base,
yeah.
right? It's like you have to. I mean, or you're going to
trade-offs.
charge too much, or it's going to be noisier than someone wants, and so you just kind of taking your best shot. And but what I was getting at is that it doesn't seem like there's anything really in the market around this, and I was curious too because I travel now, and
Yep.
having a bench supply on the road is a nice thought, but it just doesn't really seem to go there.
Yep.
I mean, it doesn't seem to exist yet. So, if people have seen other ones, that me and Gareth and other people would on Twitter would talk about it.
There was a Kickstarter one,
yeah.
and it ran off like a 5-volt plug pack or something like that. I can't remember the name of it, but there is one which kind of looked fairly neat. Yeah.
I think the problem is just like there's a ton of switching supplies out there. You can get a 12 volt adjustable supply. It goes
It's not a problem.
2 volts to 12 volts, whatever. It gives you a decent chunk of current. It just spews noise like crazy though. It's somewhere balancing that.
There's probably a market out there just for like fixed output, because a lot of the time you only need a fixed 12 volt output, nice and clean. Or
Yeah.
you only need a fixed 5 volts output, but you need it, properly regulated and everything else, and then you've got to power it from a lithium ion pack or, some other power source. So there's a market out there just for like a bunch of little fixed supplies, and it's got maybe it has
got it.
simple current metering, but there's no adjustment, like you can't adjust the current limit and stuff like that, It's like,
that makes sense. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that's I've talked to, I think one person on Twitter brought it up, but I had always thought that the USB-C stuff would be kind of towards that, but it still kind of scares me off. And actually, that was one of the links from the list this week. Not Ascended Daniel on Twitter, or Jason Sarundolo, who we've had on the show before. The USB-C Explorer. He's basically kind of publishing about through Reclaimer Labs. He's been publishing about and kind of trying to better explain USB-C, and so
Cool.
That's useful. And I think that it is like it's still it's a bit of a dicey standard. It's just like
All of the US like the USC PD, the USB power delivery standard. There was something about that recently.
I don't actually even know that one.
And it's another thing, and it's designed for like chargers and stuff like that. And it's like, it's messy. It's messy business.
Yeah.
So,
right. Well, I've been doing this. I just got a new laptop, and I've spec'd it out. I asked for help on Twitter, and people helped me and I ended up getting a Carbon X1, which I like quite a bit. It's I've yet to put Linux on it, but I plan to put that on as the base unit. But it's got what looks like a USB-C port on it, but it's like Thunderbolt 3, and I'm still like trying to figure out like what the hell is the difference between Thunderbolt 3 and USB-C and all these different, like there's like a bunch of different competing crossover things that are, the connector all looks the same, but it's
right.
They do different things based on what logo is there. So yeah, figuring that out.
Cool. Actually, this one uses an interesting chip. Can this be the chip of the week? The FUSB 302B.
Oh, yeah?
It's a programmable USB Type-C controller with USB power delivery, as I was talking about. So it has
that's that same standard thing.
Yeah. So it supports multiple, standards. So I'm going to look at this. I'm going to...
Chip of the week as Dave views it.
I'm just going to send this to... Excuse me while I email David too.
My assistant. I mean, and there are more. I mean, I think that's the thing too, is that for a long time there weren't many parts on the market, right? But now more stuff is becoming available. So what else does it say it has? Dual role. I don't even know what the hell some of this stuff is. Autonomous DRP toggle. Dave is literally emailing his
I'm
his
literally
employee.
sorry. I don't use a microphone with a spider mount anymore, absorb the vibration, so you're hearing all my typing coming through the desk. It's just
Well, it's definitely made for
rigid mount.
So we got WLCSP9, so 9-pin chip scale package, or a WQFN14. So not exactly a large part here. Oh my God, why did they do this to me? Oh boy, yeah. Looks like it's got I2C. So on the 9-pin chip, it's got VBus, VDD, I2C, SCL, SCDA, an interrupt pin, and then two. What are CC1 and CC2? I don't know what those are.
CC is constant current.
You think? No.
I don't know. That's what it means to me.
I mean, but I'll have to dig in this data sheet as well. But I think the idea of this this overall device is to kind of help people get a view on what's actually being delivered, and then how USB-C is actually working. So it's got a SAMD21 on board, which is like a Cortex M3 power regulator, a port, and then a screen that actually displays some of the some of the stats and everything.
Things. Yep.
That's great.
Cool.
Yeah. So, and I mean, Jason's been selling. He sold that Breakout for a while on Tindy as well, but now this is like an $80 kind of device. So, good for him. See lots of people selling stuff on Tindy these days. Did you ever sell anything on there?
No, I've never sold anything on Tindy because I've got my own web store.
That's
if I
true.
want to sell something, I can just whack it on there.
Yeah. I do wonder about that. Like, how much of it is like the network, like are people browsing? Browsing a marketplace, or they just whatever,
Right.
But I've bought something off there. Actually, I bought a really nice Ben Henke, who
What's a Ben Henke?
Ben, he's out in the Bay Area. I think I'm saying his name right. But he has a controller. I was doing actually when I was that controller project I was talking about. This thing came too late, but I was kind of looking around for like LED controllers that are out there and stuff. And basically, he took a WS2812. He took a ESP8266 rather, and then uses that to control both the APA 102s, which is one type of like programmable LED, and then the WS2812s. And basically, he made like this scriptable interface on Wi-Fi that you can like tap into, and then like do all these crazy patterns without really doing much work. And I got it way too late, unfortunately. I had already started writing the code and everything, but basically it's like the scriptable way to do LED art, and it was pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's called Electromage, I think.
And given that's your new...
That's not my job, Dave. I was re-listening to that. That is not what I'm doing. That is one thing I have done. Man, trying to
but you're always going to be looking for... but you're always going to... You end up being pigeonholed.
You
always do.
Are
People
right.
always do. Because you know, like, ultimately, as a consultant, you don't like risk. You like doing what you've done before. You're going to pick you're going to pick a job that you know you can do and you've done before over some job that looks, that looks really interesting, but I have no idea how to do that.
That's true. That's true.
Because it's your dime, right?
Well, or your client's
very
time,
different.
That's the real problem is when
but then it makes you look bad if you can't, or if it takes you 5 times longer than you expect to do it because you don't know anything about it and you got to learn it. It might be fun, but it doesn't, it's not a good image for a consultant when you can't do stuff quickly.
That's a good point. I've been, I used to always wonder about that too. Like, why do people standardize on microcontrollers, right? And like have just that one thing.
Right, because they know. Exactly.
So like Mike Harrison, he's always used PICs. And,
uses the PIC 32 every time. It's just what he knows.
Right, but why wouldn't you?
He's not going to dick around using something else.
Of course. Right. And that shift to that new thing, it's like, unless someone's paying you or, you have some very specific reason to move.
Yeah, they give you the requirement. They hand it down on the stone tablets and you've got to...
Right. Yeah. And then you switch, and then probably you use that for the next project, right? And
right. That goes into your toolkit. But then again, if you don't use a microcontroller and a tool for several years, you're sort of
just as good as not.
Not quite going back to square one, but it's not far off.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same thing though. I mean, with CAD programs too, right? So like, someone comes to me and it's like, "Hey, I want you to do an Altium layout." I'm like, okay, well,
right.
You're gonna buy me the license and also give me time to learn it.
To come back up to speed on it. Yeah.
Right. No, I just hand it off to my friends who do that. So.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
Yep. That's the fun pieces. I sent you a link to that Pixel Blaze too. It's called the Electromage Pixel Blaze. Oh. It's called. So, and it's it's a pretty simple looking little device. It's pretty much like a breakout for a ESP8266, but that little chipset keeps on popping up, Yeah. And the nice thing is the web interface. I think that's the really killer thing. It's not like you program it. It's like you just kind of you're editing the script on the web page that's getting served up from the device, and that is an interesting mode of operation, So if I wanted to go log in and change something, I just go to hook into the access point, update the web page, or update the stuff on the web page, and then it just kind of reboots and does its thing. Cool. So I like that. Yeah.
Speaking of interesting.
Okay.
It's good enough segue. Give me a break.
It's good enough, yeah.
Make plastic printed circuit boards with a standard laser
I was
cover.
hoping you would talk about this one. Yes. Did you watch the video?
I haven't watched it all yet. No, sorry. It only came through when I busy at the show. And
this is a former guest of the show, because we keep getting requests in our request a guest thing. It says, "Oh, you should have Ben Krasno on." It's like, come on, people, we did have Ben on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Haven't you listened to our entire 350
right
episode back catalogue?
406.
The 400 and shit. We're in the 400s. Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of interviews too. So
crazy.
So this is yet another example of the fantastic scientific method of Ben Krasno. Holy crap! He's like, what was the thing I quoted on the subreddit page, or on the subreddit? I had quoted him. It was like, wait 1 second, sorry, Dave, why don't you explain what it is while I get into this, while I find this?
Let me call up the page.
Oh, you don't. Okay.
No, I don't have to. No, it's I haven't watched the video, dude.
Oh, okay.
So I'm only going by.
So the quote is right around sample number 83. I really started to dial it in. So that shows that shows the level of scientific. The commitment, and also just this, like his interest in iterating on the scientific method and all that stuff.
Imagine if he gave up at prototype 82.
I know, right?
Right.
So, anyways,
getting jack of it.
What Ben was doing is he was doing taking a piece of plastic, laser cutting.
Was it any type of plastic, or was it a specific type?
No, it was. I think it was actually SLA plastic. So from the 3D, I think it was from the 3D printer, and I don't think it actually had I don't think it actually had any features on it. Yeah.
Right.
So I think it was just a block of plastic from an SLA printer, like a Formlabs. Right. And then he put it into a bunch of chemicals. He started with some chemicals, put it into a laser etcher, brought it back out, finished with the chemicals. That's the simple version of all this. And at the end of the day, he was trying to get to that point, which I'm sure you're talking about going to a trade show. I don't know if people have seen. If you go to some trade shows, they show like electronics being printed onto plastics, and that was what he was really trying to replicate. Mm-hmm. They show up like printing on curves and stuff like that.
Well, he's not printing electronics on there. He's printing.
Oh, sorry. Yes,
circuit traces. It's very different.
That
right?
Is very
there was some
different.
talk about this being the chip printer. It's like no, it's a PCB.
Right. Exactly right. And so basically
PWB for the old timers.
PWB. What's that?
Printed wiring board.
Oh,
dude.
Nice.
Get with the program.
Well, young whippersnappers.
Young whippersnapper. Yeah. Sorry. Continue.
No, it's okay. And so basically, he laser etches the traces, like you're talking about, and then
does he laser etch the traces or the negative of the traces?
The traces.
So it's a positive process. Okay.
That's right. Yep.
Right.
That's a good point. And then within the traces, basically he's depositing copper using lots and lots of chemistry. And
okay, I was going to ask what the conductive medium is, and it's copper.
It is copper.
I bet. So he applies the copper later as a separate process. As a chemical process,
yes,
right?
Yep.
Okay, right.
Yeah,
got
and
it.
So,
yeah.
And that's kind of the stuff. Like, it's not worth it. I will not do it justice if you have me repeat all the things in there. But needless to say, it's very fun always watching. Like Ben and Jerry Ellsworth when she was doing chip stuff, or Sam Zaloof, who we've had on the show. Basically. They're using home chemicals. It's like that always cracks me up. It's like, oh shit, we
can do this stuff.
Boron in it or whatever the hell they need in there. It's just Well,
it's very cool.
I guess if you don't want to buy it from the scientific supply, you just get it from the hardware store.
But at the opposite end of the spectrum, which will be coming to a video on my channel shortly. I didn't see this in the flesh yesterday at the trade show. I sent you a link.
Yep, I see it.
And it's the Nano Dimension, it's called. They're an Israeli company, and they do 3D printed circuit boards.
Oh.
Up to 16 layer.
Whoa. Okay.
At ridiculously small, I think the board I saw yesterday was like 4 thou or 3 thou.
Jesus.
Something like that.
Okay.
So it's up to 16 layer and it's, as I said, they're an Israeli company, which is where all cool tech seems to come from, because they're really good at that sort of shit.
Yeah.
And it's a 3D. It's exactly it's an additive method. It's exactly as you say. They build up the PCB layer by layer, and it's not like a fiberglass. So there's no woven fiberglass in there. It's it's like a resin. So the resin, so they print the copper and then they fill in that layer with the resin around, so beside the traces and beside the vias and everything else, and then they build the next layer of, metal traces on top of that, and they all join, and you can have blind and buried vias and really cool.
So it's like, well, I guess so. Last week, me and Spencer were kind of talking about 3D printing of metals and stuff like that. That was kind of because he's in the 3D printing industry, but that was kind of the very, very large stuff, like turbine blades and crazy stuff like that.
Right.
Do you know, is it printed is it laser printed? Is it laser?
I don't know
sintered?
the mechanism for putting it down. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe it's in
what
here.
I'm imagining though is so they're building up these metal structures like you're talking about. Or, well, like what looks like traces, but if you looked in really close, it would look like a maze, right? And then
exactly.
and then you flood the maze with goop. And
they
that kind
flood
of
the maze with goop, and
isolates
then
it.
that builds, and that has the base for the next layer, and
Got
then you
it.
put the next layer of yep.
Oh, it's interesting. It's, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
and
kind of
it's like a dot matrix head apparently. Like it's
okay.
like it hasn't just got one nozzle that just goes around and squirts things. Apparently, it's an array of heads
okay.
that do it, just like a dot matrix printer. So
So this is saying
Because otherwise it'd take
silver
forever,
inks though.
probably.
So this is not it's
yeah.
not copper.
Well, yeah, there are limitations to it. Like it can only support like 140 degrees, so it can't go through like a reflow oven and stuff like that. So it's it's emerging technology.
Yeah.
And there's only one of them in the country, and it's at the University of Technology here in Sydney. And I'm trying to arrange to go and check it out.
Yeah.
But it's quite prototypey at this stage. But yeah. You want to know the price? Guess the price, son.
I mean, 5 million.
5 million.
Is that good?
You're a bit over, but
Oh, I don't know.
no,
If
it's only
if there's only one.
300,000.
If there's only one of printer,
No, there's more than one, but
Oh,
there's
okay.
only one in this country.
Oh, I
There's
get
only
you.
one
I
in
get
this
you.
country,
Okay,
yeah.
that's the demo unit.
Yeah, which is why they couldn't have it at the trade show because it's at the university. So
I mean, what's the BS meter tally on this? I mean, like, how's it reading?
well, I haven't I've physically held the 3D printed board from it, but I haven't inspected under microscope. I haven't tried to solder to it. I haven't tried to do anything. But no, my BS meter is not going off. This is the real deal. It's just not. It's not a replacement for a PCB.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are they
has
targeting as the industry too? Because it usually that's kind of what me and Spencer talked about last week too. It's like, So I'd asked him like, well, 3D printing is kind of sold as the future of everything, but he's like, well, but it's in very certain industries that is the future, right? So like rocket printing and
the industry they're absolutely targeting. There's basically almost no other industry for it, really. Is the large companies who want to keep their IP in house.
Okay.
And so they want and they want to do rapid prototyping, keep the IP in-house, everything, so that nothing leaks out. We're talking military, we're talking the CIA, we're talking, any
I'm just saying that, like,
think tank that's tied up.
It still leaks. It still leaks, but yeah. I mean,
yeah, well, yeah, but you can't just send your Gerbers out because then they can reverse engineer your Gerbers. That's
Right, I see,
that's just not allowed in the contract. You cannot send stuff. You have to have safes in your room where you keep all your documents.
I see.
And all that sort of jazz. Yeah, so companies like that and that want to keep all their IP in house and rapid prototype in house. And a rapid prototype like fine pitch,
right? I think that
up
is
to
the big
16
difference.
layer stuff. Yeah, if otherwise you get one of the LPKF milling machines or something.
Right.
If you just want a couple of layers, right? But
I'm trying to figure. Someone was talking about. I think this might have been on Twitter as well. But it was another discussion around like when is a milling machine right? And my answer is still like I don't.
Not many cases.
I don't know. Right. Yeah, exactly.
Like RF boards is a classic case
I
because
think
they're
that's a good
mostly
one, yeah.
they're often mostly ground plane, and there's I know a couple of companies that make great use of those.
Right.
I actually because they make rapid in-house prototypes, or they only need 10 boards or something. But as we've talked about countless times, a real PCB is just so cheap and fast these days that it.
Oh, I was echoing our conversations when we were discussing. I think it was on Twitter because I think it was Joe Fitz, who we've had on the show, talked. He mentioned the security piece might actually make sense, right? As like keeping it in house type of thing.
Yeah, that's really the only angle left, almost.
Yeah.
Like there's something to be said for I need a PCB like today. Right. I need it within the next 2 hours. I'm going to go build my own, damn it.
Right.
Right. And, that's the only good positive left for do-it-yourself PCBs.
Right.
Or in-house printed PCBs.
Right. So this was actually, it was actually a thing I had answered a question on Hacker News because someone was asking about this making PCBs and stuff like that. Yeah. That's really where it came from. I had forgotten why I was even talking about this in the first place. Someone on Hacker News was asking about making your own PCBs. So, and I think that
it's a very common question.
It is, and I think that one of the guys around here in Chicago, Rob, he makes some really great like self-etched boards. He does a lot of rapid prototyping stuff too. Yeah, that's still a very viable process, I think. He's got to drill vias.
Oh,
though.
it is, but it's just but the fact is, if you can wait 4 days.
Or one day.
That's all. That's all you have to. Or if you want to spend
one day with
more,
a lot of bucks,
right?
Yeah.
One day with more bucks, and it's no bucks, no buck Rogers.
And that's my MO. But I think it's kind of each their own, right? I mean, if you want to go for it, go for it. Like that's great. So yeah.
No, but give me the solder mask and the silk screen any day. You can't beat it. And the plated vias and that. Like, I never want to have to. Like, I used to do this at companies too.
Yeah,
I used to manufacture my own prototypes at the company. I bought in all my gear from home, and I just made my own boards there in the lab. And went outside to the trough water.
Dumped all your chemicals down the drain, huh?
And washed off my boards and
Dave, not very environmentally friendly. Oh boy.
Yeah.
What would Mrs. EEV blog say? She would not be happy.
No, not at all.
Nope.
I didn't do that at home.
Got it.
So yeah. But there was basically nowhere to do it at the company, so couldn't go outside and dump it in the grass or something.
Speaking of chemicals that'll take things apart, Electron Update did a teardown of the ESP32. I thought that was pretty good too. It was nice kind of going down through the various levels. I had not seen any die shots of that. Had you seen of the Espressif 32? Or ESP32 rather?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen any die shots. I do enjoy.
Oh, me too. I love, usually I don't know what I'm looking at if I'm being completely honest. But
I saw another video of his. It was what was it? Have to go to his thing of the. Oh, that's right. He did the Casio calculator.
Oh, right.
He did a follow up to my video because I did a review of the FX260 solar calculator. So he did his own review in that. Well, it was basically just decapping the chip,
Right.
And it was absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the thing. And so for people that are out there, who haven't gone through a chip design class, because I'm not going to say I've ever designed a chip, not even close.
I've never done it.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think it's really good though to kind of just to get relative thoughts around. How much space memory takes in a chip, right? That's often a very common thing, right?
Yeah. Or something as simple as a voltage regulator on chip or something like that, or a capacitor on chip. Mm-hmm. It takes die space.
Exactly. And I think that's so big inductive coils on chips too as well for understanding what an antenna looks like, or if there's if there are just inductors built in, that kind of thing. So just kind of being able to point out big sections, I think that actually does have a lot of not a lot of use, but it's a nice use, right? It just kind of gives you a feel for what's in there, and having some idea what's going on inside these magical little boxes that we often use without thinking about too much. Also of interest too is that I had always thought on the Espressif the ESP WROOM modules. So those are that's what actually most people think about with the Espressif, the metal can. In the ESP32, there's a metal can and then there are a bunch of chips underneath. They think the whole module is the chip, but it's actually the chip itself is soldered to what is a tiny circuit board, and then underneath that metal can there's the Espressif the ESP32 chip, and then there's what I thought was memory, but the memory is actually internal. That's actually just a boot ROM there's an 8-pin SOIC on there. So I didn't know that. And then there's a couple other, passive components, stuff like that. And the idea is that whole module is, FCC certified, blah, blah, blah. So
I love the coils on the die. It's just, it's nice.
Right.
It's very cool.
Going down through the different levels and
the different layers I'd love to be able to do that. I'd love to be able to, but it's such a messy chemical process of stripping away all the different layers and everything else. It's really and it's nasty stuff. It's nasty chemicals.
Right. Well, I don't know too.
It's not something you can do in an office lab environment. You've got to. Yeah.
Yeah, because you need to basically use all the stuff that they're using for cleaning, like hydrofluoric acid, whatever. So,
yeah. Nasty.
Be careful if you do.
I've always thought about doing it, but just that it just puts me off every time.
I think it'd probably be good to find someone who's doing it. If someone is doing that regularly, they should give Dave a call, and he would love to come and watch what you do. How about that?
Yeah. But then again, you have to be in Sydney, so.
Right. Well, you
Yeah.
know, some of the security people like decapping chips. That's crazy people, but
Yep.
like Chris Gerlinski, who's I talked to at Tour Camp, he does that stuff. Apparently, I was like, why? But yeah, apparently you can dig stuff out of there. That's useful. So it's crazy.
Cool.
That's a crazy idea.
Anyway, I love his die teardowns.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
If you haven't subscribed, do it.
Definitely. Oh, what else should we talk about, Dave? Oh my God! Did you see this crazy one? The Icarus electric rocket fan. This is David Cronstein.
Oh yes,
Oh,
yes,
man.
Dave, who we've had on.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is very cool.
He's
this is just a side project, and it
he's a
deserved
crazy
more
person.
videos.
He's a crazy person.
But it deserved more videos. I thought there's so much in this.
Yeah.
That how long's the video? It's like
half an
30
hour.
minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But it's like I thought, it was just, perfect for like a series of build videos, But he just he's whacked it all
I
in
don't
one
think
video.
he has time because he's, so if people don't
Right.
know, David is Tesla 500 on YouTube, but he also is, he runs the Chronos 1.4 is their product, was Chrontech. So Chrontech, the Chronos.
Contact the Chronos high-speed camera.
That's
yeah.
right. Yeah. And that's what I was thinking. I was like, I just wish there were more slow-mo footage shots. I thought that the whole thing was going to be about slow-mo footage, but it was like, no, this is actually
it
how
was
you
about
build the thing.
the same here. I was expecting, I'm going to see
Yeah.
footage of a drone taking off, and no, it was a complete build video.
Yeah.
And anyway.
So it's basically it's like a ducted
Huge.
fan like they
Yep.
use for I guess like model rockets
Yep.
or model airplanes and stuff like that. But also you see these on those crazy people that are trying to be Iron Man.
Right.
Like the Hacksmith has tried this, I think, and there's that guy who's
Yeah.
actually flown like these things on him. So they're
Strap 100 of them to your back.
Oh
and,
my God.
off you go.
they're so crazy. It's like, and then it's like,
Passionate,
battery's
Chris,
out. I guess I'm
passionate.
just falling to the earth. But the interesting thing with this is just the control system that you have to set up, right? Because you have to have so basically, much like a rocket. The reason I think he calls it a rocket is because there's fins that you
The
basically
guide vanes, at the
you
bottom.
need to basically move the air in the proper
It's
way.
basically thrust vectoring
Right. Yeah.
nozzles. So, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Or vanes. Thrust vectoring vanes. Yeah.
oh, that's what they're called.
I'm probably not 100%, but that's basically it's thrust vectoring. That's what they do on rockets. Like the Saturn V rocket. Those motors on the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
right? The F1 engines, they swivel. They
right. The engine
tilt,
moves.
and
They
each
don't,
one
they
is
don't put
in-
fins in between though. Right?
No, the engine pivots like that.
Right.
So that's thrust vectoring. But this is because you can't change you can't change the swivel motion of the actual engine,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have to do it using guide vanes
Yes. Right.
underneath, which
Right. So
actually
he's
then-
interrupting airflow.
then-
Right.
yeah, they're changing the direction of the airflow, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Anyway,
Yeah. And there
Very
are
cool.
design files and all that other stuff too. We'll link that stuff
Yeah.
in.
awesome.
Yeah, I keep seeing these controllers everywhere. Like it's obviously a lot from the quadcopter industries and really just RC in general. There's controllers that people are like the autopilot type controllers that are out there.
We're talking about one of those last night.
yeah?
Someone
Okay.
there claimed to have the world's best autopilot system.
yeah?
They're working on. They reckon it's streets ahead of anything else on the market. And there they are. At the,
That's streets
just
ahead.
at the meetup saying,
That's what. Sorry. Anyways.
yeah. Yeah, it's got this and that, and it's got this resolution and this. And
Yeah, I was gonna say, what actually is it? Like the speed with which it actually reacts to things, or what? I mean, like, I don't.
Oh, it's the algorithms, behind. It's all the algorithms these days. And another one showed me a combined helicopter plane they had, so it could do either vertical or horizontal takeoff. Right.
Got it.
And then mid flight, it can change from horizontal plane flight to, and then the algorithms like switch over into like, well, they don't switch over. They sort of blend in software. So they blend the algorithms in software, if you know what I'm talking about, and they and the output result is that the plane / quadcopter thing actually transitions seamlessly from horizontal flight using wings to the vertical quadcopter.
Yeah, so
flight,
like vertical takeoff and landing VTOL.
Yeah. So it isn't like they just switch off one controller and hit the other,
right.
And turn the other on, because that'd be abrupt. It'd probably flip or roll or do whatever.
Right.
They've got to merge these in software and then merge the output result of the algorithm in software, which is ultimately driving it, because you only have one thing driving the motor ultimately. So and it just transitions beautifully. It's fantastic.
Crazy. Yeah, I think that's the thing too. Is it like, so the thing that's actually enabling a lot of these technologies? So like, I don't know about you, but I follow Flight Test. It's like one of my favorite YouTube channels. Those guys they're making like cardboard planes all the time, and they basically, so they'll take these controllers and they'll pop it onto a cardboard creation, and in a couple hours they have like they've made a chair fly, right? It's like, it's insane.
Right.
But the idea is that it's like moving up the stack, right? So basically at that point, it's now like, oh, well, this part on my handheld RC controller is just making the aileron go back and forth, right? It's kind of just taking out all that, whereas you and I would be like, oh, well, we should make like a servo motor from scratch. And, it's like, no. You buy all this stuff off the shelf, you get it. And then, but what you do is you move up the stack, and you're able to basically use this tool set over and over and over again to go and make that next plane and do the next thing.
Well, when I was working on quadcopters, I was in the old lab, so it would have been maybe 7 years ago, right? It's like you kind of had to roll your own stuff back there. They did have ArduPilot, right? But it was very early days of ArduPilot, and it's not the drones you think of these days. That they automatically come back to you, and they do all sorts of things automatically. It was like it was very early infancy back then, and you sort of had to roll your own.
Right.
But now it's like,
companies have popped up and done that and moved into that space.
Done that, and you can just buy the off-the-shelf modules, and the ArduPilot is now so advanced that it's
Oh, I know, right?
It's just crazy.
Yeah, right.
It's nuts.
Yep.
So
I remember, so we had Chris Anderson. I'm doing a lot of callbacks here, I suppose, but we've had a lot of guests on the show. If you don't know, check it out. Click, click, click. But Chris Anderson was on the show. Episode like 100 or something like that.
Yeah, it was,
And that was when he was still running 3D Robotics. But 3D Robotics is like they don't make drones barely anymore. I think they're a software company now. But it's because I think they were making some of those custom things, and then they kind of just, all the hardware kept building up around them, and then the prices kept dropping, and so now you can get everything from China super cheap.
And these other companies just took over. They just couldn't compete anymore. They were just making better stuff.
Yep.
And they just couldn't compete.
Right.
Or they decided not to.
I think.
They
I think it is.
Look, we'll just give up. We'll just actually pivot into something else, because it's just not worth it.
Yep. I think and now I think they're still doing some of the software stuff. I think 3D Robotics is still around, but
no, it's still around.
It is, okay. Good. Excellent. That's what I would hope for.
Cool. Any last minute things? Because I only got a couple of minutes left.
Oh yeah.
It will strictly be an amp hour.
It is an amp hour. No, just let's see if there's...
I did a video on power plane capacitance.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, that was great, man. I like that. That was
excellent. Thanks.
Classic Dave.
Right, classic Dave.
Dave Jones classic, not new Dave
like
Jones.
A classic arcade game.
Right. Oh dear. Like all of our links are on the our subreddit. I thought we didn't talk about it here, but the Global Foundry stopping 7nm development. That is a misleading title, because I thought it was like nobody's going to hit 7nm. It's like, well, TSMC is still doing their thing, but Global Foundry is just having trouble, and that is interesting to keep an eye on. We probably should have someone on to talk about the rapidly slowing Moore's law thing. I don't know what the hell's going to happen.
It's practically come to an end. You could almost, there's quite a few people in the industry who've said, it's basically over.
Yeah.
The party's over. Music stopped.
It does seem like the party's over. It's not like money's going to keep chasing that next thing. So it's more like, what is that next thing? Is it like custom hardware again, or like, maybe you're using these standard
they'll
chips.
go back to like 3D stackable dies
Sure,
and things like
exactly.
that. You know, things like that. They'll build them up 3 dimensions instead of trying to just get the one 2-dimensional node down.
Yeah,
to
right.
bug, half.
Right, and that might if you average it over time, it might be like, oh well, that that new thing that Dave was just describing allowed it to keep expanding the technologies further and further. But when we usually talk about Moore's law, it is talking about that having the
It's talking about that single process,
right, the process node piece,
Yeah.
right, and so
Yeah,
it
exactly.
likely will move out of that. So
Yes, yes.
yeah,
To some other area.
Yeah.
Like speeds have stopped, right? It's not like you can get, we would have expected like a 20 gigahertz processor by now, right? It just stopped, right?
Right.
At what?
It stopped at 4,
5
I think.
gig,
Yeah,
4,
3.
something 4-ish,
Yeah, right.
something like that. It's like, it's like it doesn't make sense to try and push them any
Right.
faster.
Some poor analyst lost his job because he was drawing a straight line approximation of frequency
Right.
at some point, and he did not get his bonus that year.
and even companies, like they're instead of going for like bigger die, bigger processor, they're going for multiple dies. You
Right,
get your what is it? The what's the new the AMD multi? Oh God,
Multi-core? I don't know.
multi-core chip. God, massive mental block.
That's okay.
Anyway, it's like multiple dies.
Oh, it is.
apparently,
Okay, so it's like
yeah.
bonded together. It's not actually.
Yeah, but just bonded together. Yeah,
Got it.
that's it. So, yep.
Cool. Well, anything new from you? No? Anything else?
No,
Okay.
I'm buggering off to the show again today.
Great. Well, I hope you see many people, and well, this will come out much later, so I hope you have a good show, because I don't think anyone here will.
Sorry.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
All right, man. That was good talk.
All right.
Good talking. You have a good time at the show.
Catch you next time.
Yeah. All right. A classic amp hour.